Hi everyone, Tom Wolfe here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to create this vintage style pad in U-he Diva. Okay, so you can hear we've got this kind of lush, vintage sounding pad. And this is a preset called Rings of Saturn. Now, this is one of the presets I created and is included in the August 2021 presets in the Synth Vault. If you want to download this preset for free, then you can. All you've got to do is go to synthvault.net and sign up or log in, and then you can go to the tutorials tab of the user area and you'll be able to download it from there. So let's have a look at how I created this. Okay, so you can see we've got a blank preset here. So this is just going to give me a sawtooth. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is I'm going to set up the VCO here. So I'm going to start with a dual VCO. I'm going to start with a sawtooth wave here. Okay, and then I'm going to swap my filter for the cascade filter. Okay, and then I'm also going to set it up to the analog envelopes as well. Okay, so let's start off by creating the sort of shape of a pad. So let's just adjust these envelopes. We can bring the volume down a little bit there as well. So I'm going to have the attack about 37. I'm going to have quite a quick release on this pad. And I'm also going to keep the sustain up, so I don't need to touch the decay there. And then let's bring our cutoff on the filter down a bit. Bring it down to here. And we can also control it with our envelope 2 here. So the envelope 2, we're going to set that up. Don't really want any velocity on this one because it's a very kind of vintage style pad. I just want it to kind of be at 1 velocity. So I'm going to set up my attack to about 40. I'm going to have my sustain all the way up. And again, I'm going to have a pretty quick release. So we've got quite a sort of similar shape to our envelope 1. So I'm going to have, let's just adjust the cutoff a little bit and add a bit of resonance. There we go. Sounding nice and bright. And I also want it to keyboard follow as well. So I'm going to set that up to about halfway so that, you know, the filter cutoff does follow the keyboard and the notes that I'm playing. So let's start by making this a little bit more interesting. So we'll start by adding our VCO2. Set it to about there. I'm going to detune this an octave as well. So we'll drop that. And I'm going to add in the sawtooth as well as the pulse. And then I'm going to tune this as well. So we're going to bring this up to there. So we've now got that second oscillator tuned to a different note. So that's actually tuned to a 7th below oscillator 1. Now I'm also going to bring up a tiny little bit of crossmod here. That's a bit too much there. About there, just making a very kind of subtle kind of warping sound going on with our oscillators there. And so now I'm going to bring in a little bit of feedback here to give it some kind of weight. So as you can hear, it kind of brings down the resonance a little bit. But it just adds a kind of bit of depth to the sound there. So at the moment, the sound is quite sort of plain. So what we're going to do to give it the extra warmth and kind of extra width is I'm going to start stacking the voices. So I'm going to set the voice number to 16. So we've got the full amount of voices available for this preset. And I'm going to stack 3 on top of each other. Now, to start off with, that just, you know, it sounds a bit messier. But what we can do is we're actually going to use the stack index on the pan modulation. This essentially allows us to pan each different stacked voice to a different location. So if I press a note and turn that up, especially if you're wearing headphones, you can hear that getting wider. But what we actually want to do, rather than directly put the stack index on here, I'm going to use the multiply function. So if we go over to modifications, you can see we've got multiply here. And what this does is it kind of adds two modulation sources together to get them working together. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use envelope 2, which is my currently controlling my filter, and the stack index in here. So set that up, envelope 2 and stack index. And then if I come back over here, so at the moment, set to my stack index, you can hear that it's nice and wide. If I set that to multiply, you can hear as the filter opens, especially you really need to be wearing headphones to hear this properly, but you can hear that it starts in the center and then the voice is spread out over time. So that multiply is a really good function to be able to combine our different modulation sources. So the next thing we want to do is we want to add a bit of kind of vintage vibrato. So our LFO1 is hardwired to control the vibrato. So let's bring that up. Okay, so I'm going to set it to sine, and I'm going to up the rate as well. Have it about there. And, you know, that gives us a bit of a vintage pitch wobble kind of thing going on. But also, I want this to kind of rise along with the filter cutoff and along with the panning. So I'm going to set the depth mod to be controlled by multiply, and I'm going to turn that all the way up. So now as that cutoff opens up and as the panning, you know, spreads out, the sound spreads out in the stereo field, we've now also got this vibrato coming in. So we're getting there with this sound. So now we're going to look at the effects. Okay, so we're going to have two effects on this, and we're going to start off with the chorus. So I'm going to leave that on dramatic. I'm going to have the rate set just slightly higher than it is, and I'm going to turn the depth up as well to about there, and then we'll turn the wet amount down slightly, so we're just under half there. So that's giving us a nice kind of vintage chorus effect. And then we're going to switch on our plate reverb as well. So I'll keep the wet and dry amounts about the same. Decay. Turn it up quite a bit. Let's turn the size up a bit as well. Diffusion where it is, and let's just add a little bit of pre-delay as well. There we go, we're getting this nice kind of vintage pad sound now. Lush. And then finally, all we've got to do is set up our different control sources from our keyboard. So on this one, I'm going to use both Aftertouch and Mod Wheel. So let's start off by setting up the Aftertouch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the Aftertouch control our filter slightly. But what I like to do, especially in Diva, is it always feels a bit kind of reactive to me, a bit too quick when I just kind of set it up directly. I kind of like to have it drawn out a little bit. So I'm going to set it up on the lag here. So if we set that to pressure, and then I'm just going to turn that up ever so slightly, and then we can set this to be controlled by the lag. So you can hear that's just a little bit slower now. It's actually quite hard to tell the difference when you can't see what I'm playing on my keyboard, because what it essentially changes is how soon after I press the Aftertouch, press the keys down, that triggers, but it is kind of slowing it down, so it's not quite so reactive as to when I press it. And then we're also going to set up our mod wheel. So on our mod wheel, I'm going to have tremolo because I think tremolo is a great effect for this kind of pad. So I'm going to set that to LFO2 because we're already using our LFO1 for our vibrato. And then I'm going to set this up to sine wave. And I'll set it to 16ths as well. And I'll change the phase just so that it kind of fits, you know, into our rhythm of our tempo. I always find, you know, when you set the phase to 50, it actually sounds a lot better up against your the tempo of your track. So now we're getting a tremolo in there, and we can obviously control this with our mod wheel. So we set depth mod to 100%. So what I'm also going to do as well to give it a little bit extra on top of that tremolo is I'm going to control the pulse width with LFO2 as well. So because LFO2 is only on when the mod wheel is open, it's not going to sound all the time, but when that tremolo comes in, it's going to be kind of changing our pulse width. So sounds normal. Just adds in a bit of extra character. Just a little something extra on the mod wheel there. Okay, so there you have the preset Rings of Saturn. Hopefully you enjoyed creating this preset. Hopefully you enjoyed playing with this preset. As I say, if you want to download this preset so that you can kind of tweak it yourself, then you can do. You can download it for free by heading to synthvault.net. When you're there, you can also download another 4 presets for U-he Diva, and you can also get 5 presets for Omnisphere, 5 for Arturia Pigment, and this month's wildcard synth, which is vital, so you'll get 5 presets for that as well. And as a member, you get access to free presets every single month. So it's worth checking out if that's your thing. Okay, thanks for watching. If you like this video, then please do subscribe to my channel so that you can keep up to date with my new videos. And until next time, take care.